Are you ready for a roller coaster ride? Welcome to the Kiev Major Grand Final. We're down to just 2. It is an amazing final, set up perfectly with the Boston Major champions, 3-time Major champions and winners OG, going head-to-head against the hometown favourites. Virtus.pro have reached their first ever Major final and the first one for the CIS region as well. We're around about 15 minutes away from our first game of the day. It is a best of 5 as well, and we'll take you through all of the action, including the draft, right up to the start of Game 1. Before that, though, we do have a panel for our grand final, and they will be taking you through the tournament. We'll be talking about tournament favourites, our favourite moments, and, of course, leading you right into Game 1. So let's catch up with our panel members. We've got Gods, Melini, and Folt. Good afternoon. Welcome to the grand final.
Hello again.
Is this the grand final you thought you'd get?
We almost rigged it. Virtus.pro.
Well, I was wondering whether you rigged it or whether production rigged it. Because there's a little bit of...
I cursed all the teams to lose except for Virtus.pro.
You're actually
OG.
Thank you, Ben. You're actually making my bracket look really good.
No problem.
So you have Virtus.pro in your bracket.
I did put VP as final. I think I may have actually had OG versus VP as finals.
Wow.
I think I may have.
He pretends like he doesn't know.
He does, but then he does.
No, I don't remember which ones I put. The rest of my bracket is definitely atrocious, but I definitely had those two meeting each other, I'm pretty
up
sure.
until the semi-finals as well, my friend, you were doing well on the predictions. You were tied with Owie, 11-6, and now you're 11-8.
I went with Ben the last game.
You can still salvage this, but you need to get 3 right.
I got this.
Yeah. That's what happens when you don't let production do your predictions for you. Gods.
They did the last one. Get out of here.
11-9 on your predictions. Done well so far. It's been a tough tournament.
Okay.
You've sat in the cursed chair throughout as well. You've had that to contend with.
Had some tough predictions on some of the Brazilian games too. Those
They've
guys
ruined
completely.
You,
They're probably more than half of my wrong predictions there, just
Yeah.
because of how much of a surprise that was.
Yeah,
but
we actually calculated. We did some calculations for you earlier. If you had got the games right, because you bet against them when they won, and then you bet with them when they lost, which kind of made it even worse. Your predictions, if you had got all of those right, would be currently 15-4.
that sounds a lot better than better than 10-8 or something.
Just got ruined by one team. Amazing. Again, I'll come to you, Ben. Is it the 2 teams you thought heading into this tournament, or even halfway through? You can even take it from the round of 16 after we'd seen a few matches.
Let's say top 5 were definitely going to be like OG, IG, EG.
Our top 4 that we had is
Virtus.pros.
pretty much what all of us had in our top 4.
Aside from Secret. I think Secret from the group stage looked pretty good, and we thought the bracket was going to be easy. But yeah, no big surprise on the top 4 here. No grand finalists, especially after we saw what happened.
Yeah. All right, let's introduce you to our 2 grand final teams. The first one doesn't really need an introduction, but we'll give one anyway. The 5 men from OG. They are triple major champions already. An incredible run, Gods, from these boys. And not just some of them, all of them effectively are already major champions. Obviously, Anna winning with the team at Boston, but also Jerak's in there as well, having been in finals with Liquid as well. He's got some form in majors too. What is it about these people? How do they do it every time?
They're some of the greatest minds that have come into Dota. I mean, if you look at Fly and what he's done with various teams, even going back a couple of years where he wasn't like performing on the top teams, he made a kind of ragtag group of complexity players go really deep into a TI. This guy's always been a great mind, a great captain. Individual players like Notel S4 have always been phenomenal. Jerix was, I think, the best player of 2016 as far as like breakout players, just great individual players. And Anna's like looking to be one of the best players of 2017.
Yeah,
I forgot that. They made complexity go far in a TI. I don't think you stressed that enough.
Yes.
There's no need to beat up on teams
That's
that aren't
very
here, Ben.
impressive.
Kyle's not even here to defend
Yeah,
himself.
exactly. You can wait until Kyle's in the room before you start.
There's
that
a
stuff.
reason why, because Fly's not on his team.
In terms of No-Tail, we've got some fun stats here. This is a monumental final for this young man because he's 3 games away from recording 100 wins in Valve tournaments, which only 3 other players have ever done already. They did that at this tournament. And perhaps more astonishingly, 1 tournament victory away from 100 tournament wins.
That's like absurd. That counts online and everything too, though, right? So,
I believe so. I'll have to check with Nox, but I believe it does.
because 100 is over.
Have there even been 100
I don't think so. That's why it's like it has to be. But
Knox, what's happening?
Ben's been
100's
asleep
a
for
lot.
most of them anyways. It doesn't really matter. But it's
100
incredible, isn't it? How the heck has that happened? It's an incredible career.
I mean, these 2 guys, No-Tail Fly,
Yeah.
can't stress on it more. Honestly, these 2 guys are not only just in the game, incredible, but out of the game. I'm like 100% sure how much they influence the other players on their team. They just bring them up all the time.
Okay. There is also the small matter of the fact that they've never lost a major final either. They've had 3 out of 3 so far. They're in their 4th final as an organisation. I wonder whether that will stay on as well. Let's take a look at their opponents. It is the hometown team. We've been talking about them all the way through. It's Virtus Pro. And Gods, this is in many ways retribution for the team after failing at Boston Major miserably in many people's eyes because they were on such a hot streak and potentially the favourites to win the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of their second chance in some ways, and I think for VP they have had a pretty good track record against OG. They actually played against them in the Summit Finals and Best of 5 and 3-0'd them, so I think they've got maybe some confidence on their side. They have that belief. They know they can beat OG, but really it really feels like this is their time. They're playing in a CIS Major. They finally hit this amazing form once again that they kind of had at Boston, but maybe lacked a bit of versatility. They've now got that versatility, a bit more wider, more diverse hero pool, and VP right now look absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and to because the boxing was good last night, to throw a boxing analogy, these guys are the Ali of the ring right now because they're coming in with a bit of a swagger, frankly. I mean, that semi-final was borderline disrespectful with the bans and the picks all the way through in the first game.
Yeah, and their execution was unbelievable, unmatched almost. I would say those are probably some of the biggest highlight reels I can actually remember in quite a while.
Was it the most dominant performance that we've seen in the knockout stages in that semi-final against IG?
Yeah, I think IG showed a little bit of some signs of life, but overall, yeah, I mean, VP was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Home crowd.
Yeah, and if they carry that kind of form in, do you think that maybe carries them through this final? I mean, God's pointed out already they've got some form against OG too.
Yeah, all-time record 14-10.
Yeah.
It's a winning record versus OG. They also utilized 2 heroes that no other team has really played too much. Ursa and Magnus. They win with these 2 heroes.
Don't forget the Veno.
Yeah, but that's not that common. They've only picked it a couple of games, whereas Magnus and Ursa has been in like 80% of their games almost.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a difficult team to ban against. Let's take a look at the social media predictions as well, because there have been some votings going on. So, what have we got for us? Oh, we nearly got it. Oh, instead we're going to get a question. Okay, that kind of threw me. I thought we were going to get the predictions rather than... Can we fix that? Perfect. Okay. Twitter says OG 55, Virtus Pro 45.
That's
okay.
Very close.
It is very close. Do we have the Twitch predictions as well?
Especially for Twitter, right? I feel like that's like a lot more even than I would think it would be.
Okay. So Twitch has gone the other way.
Where's our VK predictions?
Well, and you've got to imagine the CIS viewers are predominantly on the Russian stream,
yes.
So that shows a lot of faith in VP from the Western viewers.
Yeah, 60-40. I'm going to ask you for your predictions overall as well. Fogt?
I think that this is actually a very good matchup for VP. The way that they play, their super aggressive play style as well. I mean, maybe it's a little biased because I'm looking at my bracket too, but I thought that they've been playing phenomenal, and I think they have a really good matchup versus OG in their team fight. These guys have been like the kings of team fight already.
Yep. Okay, so VP for you, Ben?
I think VP as well, just because I think they can actually end the game early.
Okay.
Which
I just want to remind you of your responsibility here. I'm just
Sorry.
saying.
Ben wait. Ben went with me. Wait.
It's too late. Don't worry. He is 6-15 for the tournament prediction. I just want to point that out to you. But both of you going for VP.
It's only 40%.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's slightly worse than a coin flip.
Quite a bit worse than a coin flip, but okay.
Slightly.
Yeah. Gods?
Loose.
No, it's better than a coin flip. Coin flip 50-50, but yours isn't 50-50.
Yeah, quite. Gods, are you going to balance this up a little bit with OG? How would you back against a team who's never lost in a major final?
See, that's my thoughts is, like, I look at the play styles, I look at how VP have played and how dominant they've been, and in my head it's like, that's a good matchup versus OG. They play faster, they hit timings before OG's ready to fight. OG match up well against EG because I think both of those teams do play slower pace. And in theory, in my head, like VP should do well against OG, but then I'm like, wait, this is OG, major champions. Like they always seem to win series they go into, and they don't look like favorites, but they just win.
And to be fair, they haven't played spectacularly well at this tournament, and yet somehow find themselves in the grand final.
They have this champions mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's something that very few teams in the Dota scene have. I think EG maybe have it, not that they showed it here today. But there's, I think, a couple of teams out there which you look at them and you're like, yeah, these guys are real championship quality. They'll win matches even when they're playing badly. They'll win matches when they're underdogs, even when they perhaps shouldn't be underdogs. And I think OG is like the definition of that. They just win despite not being favorites.
Okay, so you're going with OG.
Yes.
He just doesn't want to get yelled at by Seb. I can picture Seb right now. Right? As soon as me and Ben did VP, he's like, yeah, typical Ben.
I have, to be fair, my predictions, I do have OG, like, from day one. Like, I had it for Boston. I think they're underrated there. I mean, this tournament, they weren't underrated. People coming into the tournament, it's like OG, IG, the favorites. I have OG again. I've always just believed so much in this team's ability to win big major events.
Okay. And in terms of coaching, we've got two very big names on both sides. One, perhaps not from his playing days, although he was a decent player in his time when he wanted to be. Mad on one side, and then a legend on the other side. How much influence are they going to have today?
Quite a lot. I think they're the guys that will influence the drafts the most, probably. I think that's Seb's biggest contribution, is he really helps studies and discusses drafts a lot with Fly. And I imagine, I don't know too much about Outsell as a coach. He's only very recently moved into that.
Lil called him their sixth player.
Yeah. And I think from when he played and captained, he was very creative, had some really interesting approaches to the game in terms of draft play style. Like, he was doing all these like aggro tri-lanes, these very aggressive early roaming junglers. He was very much like a special draft in his own way. So I think both of them really will influence the picks a lot.
Mulaney?
I think Seb's even more important because of how little downtime they had in between the series. No. So they potentially going to have to play, 7 games in a row with 1 hour break in between. And obviously they knew who they were going to face going in, but like they were probably preparing for Evil Geniuses. And then after they win, they can prepare. But that's only an hour, and that's where Seb comes in. He's like, okay, when Game 3 looked like it was in the bag, which it never really was, then they can start preparing, but he doesn't have to deal with the stress of playing and all this other stuff. And
I was going to talk to you about that whole, do you break or straight in momentum thing? Because teams are different, aren't they? Some teams prefer, I mean, Virtus Pro said to us a few days ago, they hate coming in playing first in the morning. They don't like playing first thing. They'd much rather come in the afternoon or even play really late. They'd much prefer that. They've been fine with that here. Which team benefits, do you think, in this? Or do you think there's not much to it in the sense that Virtus Pro get a longer break, but then maybe OG play better if they carry on playing and the momentum carries on?
They just got to watch OD. I think it would benefit VP. They just got to watch OG play out 2-hour-long games. They can really take a lot from those. I think they can even kind of work with how EG did. They recognized that, okay, they banned the Naga and the Alchemist, and then they first two the Terrorblade. Okay, so maybe they're going to plan for the first two Terrorblade. Their heroes also match up pretty well versus that, their aggression. And then also, they share a similar mid kind of pool.
Yeah.
This guy loves to play TA. No one in Ana. I think if they really limit Ana in his hero pool, it's gonna really hurt OG.
Okay, very quickly, in one word, sum up why the crowd and the people watching at home are going to enjoy this grand final. Gods.
It's
one word.
VP playing on home soil.
Venomancer.
Aggression.
Okay, that is it for now from our panel members. We will hear more from them, of course, just after we get the teams in. This, then, ladies and gentlemen, is the Kiev Major Grand Final.
Team Random are done with game 1. They call GG.
The final chapter is about to be written, and these players are one win away from glory. They survived against the odds, and their path to the grand finals was a challenging one. Their teamwork was put to the test, and their ability pushed to the extreme. But they pulled through, defying expectations and rallying the crowd behind them. They now face an opponent unlike any other. The stage is set, and fear is not an option. Their sights are set, and there's no turning back.
Y is going to show himself immediately, going to be pounced on and shouldn't have much of a chance here, especially with Fly able to secure the kill. That being said, both Weaver and Night Stalker on their way, and they're very mobile heroes, but S4 can turn things around. He managed to get a 3-man ulti with the follow-up from Ana. They're going to be able to take all these kills.
Not enough to finish off Ana. Shadow didn't have that much mana burnt in out now. Shadow's going to be caught. He doesn't have to blink away. He's dead.
80s catch the Centaur, but there is the extra hold. No Tails making sure that nobody from Faceless escapes alive.
Welcome on stage. Were shattered. And this team has been at the center of it all. Few have come close to their brilliance, but many have witnessed their skill. In a world where you're only as good as your last victory, this team has taken no prisoners.
They damage no one. They chase forward. RT gets there, but now the combo! Vacuum! Static Storm! Absolute destruction! About the factory man, ball and clutch! Well, now is his turn! With forward dropping the ulti! Take this ages, it looks like, while the bottom lane pushes in. Rangerak starting to take shift damage. Will no one go for the big play? He's trying for it, and he gets it too! Snatching the ages out from under Vici. They had time there to grab it. They were slow on the draw and decisive.
They smashed rivals and set fire to reputations. Now, only one challenger remains. One final battle to conquer for the perfect end to their incredible run. Right here, right now. Welcome on stage, Virtus Pro!
We go then, grand finale time at the Kiev Major in front of a packed house at the National Palace of Arts. Virtus Pro on home soil will benefit from that home support, no doubt. Look at the crowd right now, going absolutely crazy for Virtus Pro. It's a very hostile environment. Man in green, OG up against it, but they'll know all about it.
Absolutely. They're used to this. At Boston, it was Adfinem who had the crowd support. The very first major OG won, they were up against Team Secret in the finals, and that was back when Secret were kind of at the peak of their popularity. And this is a team who's not expecting to go in and have the crowd support necessarily. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't faze them at all. They just ignore it.
Yeah. No Tail came out. Still arms are raised. Still appreciative of the fans that they do have here as well. So plenty of experience. How much is that going to count in this final? How much nerves are going to creep in perhaps for Virtus Pro? Because they've looked flawless so far. They've shrugged it off. Don't really care about the nerves. They've almost been cocky. But it's the grand final now. This is when it really matters. Are nerves going to be a factor, do you think?
I don't think they should be. After how confident they seem and everything too. I think that they're so confident, and the way that they displayed their confidence in their games yesterday, I would say that they're not going to be really nervous. They executed their Darkseer combos to perfection. There was no mistakes at all. A lot of teams you see do this, it's okay, they landed 2 or 3 times in a game, and it's wow, that was really good. These guys landed it every single time. So I would say no.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at our matchup. We've picked out gods, 2 astonishing players from the mid lane.
Yep.
Have they been the best 2 mid lanes? I always kind of have Samal in the back of my head because he has had an outstanding tournament, but these 2 are in the grand final.
Definitely 2 of those 2, the top 3. I mean, I don't. Smail's not here in the grand finals, but he put up he was tournament MVP worthy with some of his performances. But these 2 here, the kind of 2 key players to look at. They have a kind of similar hero pool. I think TA is one of those heroes. Fog mentioned earlier that we're going to see be kind of hotly contested. May even in one of the games be a first 2 pick just because of how successful it's been at this tournament. And in terms of what they bring to the table, both teams are going to look to play around this player.
Ben, impressed by mid 1 in particular?
Yeah, both of them have been pretty good. I have seen no one play Magnus, and I think that's one of their best adjustments that they made from the group stage until now, is actually not put Magnus in the mid lane. They've given it to Pasha ever since, just because Magnus is just not that good of a 2 anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if they experiment with more heroes for no one. Do you see any in mind?
The one that's up there is one of, in my opinion, the sniper. They haven't really touched it at all, but I think it's one of his favorite and one of his best.
He's played a lot more heroes. He's played the Ursa in the recent matches. He's played the Venomancer most recently, whereas Anna has stuck to a more kind of set hero pool, it feels at times. Ember, Alchemist, TA, of course. So it does feel like VP are more flexible with their hero pool for the mid lane.
I'm wondering who OG really targets in this matchup, to be honest with you, because we looked at IG's approach, and they banned out, the Ursa and the Slardar in their first 2 bans. So it was like they